Cool. We are live. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jen. I'm your host of Blockchain Banter and contributor at Bancor. I'm here with Glenn, who is one of my colleagues, contributor at Bancor as well, fellow DAO member. Glenn, thanks for joining me here. We were just on the Twitter Spaces, kind of introducing a little bit of Carbon DeFi to the Sei community. But we decided that it would be a whole lot better, probably a whole lot more effective, right? If we were actually able to show them the product, not just send them to it and not just speak about it, but really kind of do a walkthrough with them and answer any questions that they might have. So thank you for joining me. And thank you. I see, some people joining the call also. I'm glad that they are. And guys, for everybody on the call, please post your questions. If you're on YouTube, you can post them as comments. If you're on Twitter, you can post them underneath my announcement. So we can get those questions answered. Go ahead, Glenn, what'd you say?
Yeah, I was going to say it's great to be here. Good to see other people joining in this call. Always happy to talk about Carbon and other, Bancor products that we're working on.
For sure. Okay, so we wanted to do this, like I said, to kind of really introduce the product to the Sei community. We're going to start off a little bit with Carbon DeFi on testnet. Is that how we want to do it, Glenn?
Yeah, so Sei has like a testnet or devnet, essentially an environment where if you are deploying these dApps on the Sei blockchain, you can essentially test for free, right? It's the environment where you can deploy your dApps, test them out before it goes live on the mainnet, right? So mainnet, I think for Sei, they had a proposal that was put in governance, I would say this week on Monday, and that's roughly going to take 7 days to go through their governance. Assuming it passes, then Sei should go live, or Sei V2 should go live at that point in time. And then obviously folks that have been testing on DevNet or testnet can deploy their dApps at that point in time on the mainnet blockchain.
It was really exciting actually to see that announcement that the proposal was up and that it could possibly be Monday. When we had scheduled this, I didn't think it would be that soon, but it's nice that it is. Like I said, it's kind of getting exciting. But in the meantime, having Carbon DeFi on the DevNet or the testnet is still going to help some users kind of get familiar with it. What I was saying on the previous call is Carbon DeFi isn't just an AMM. It's not really an AMM at all. So it might be a little bit different and allow users to do different things than they might be used to. So kind of giving them this little sort of intro to it, I think will be helpful. I'm going to bring your screen here.
Sure. Yeah.
So we can see a little bit of, hopefully everybody can see that well. Glenn, you can't zoom in on that at all, can you?
Zoom in. Let me see. One sec. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
That helps.
Yeah. So this is our the DevNet deployment of Carbon, essentially on Sei right now, right? So this is where we have been sort of testing out the smart contracts that they get deployed. They're an EVM chain, so not many changes happen there, but we still do need to make sure that the front end it's working as expected, is connected to the smart contracts, and then that the backend data is also ingesting the data from the blockchain properly as well, right? So that this all functions correct. And by the time we launch on mainnet after Sei V2 goes live, right, all this should be like quite easy to do, as we just went through the entire process on DevNet, and we are prepared to launch the product at that point in time.
Cool. Okay, so what we're looking at here, when you go to DevNet, is this the screen that you go to?
Yeah, so when you go to DevNet for Carbon, you go to say that Carbon DeFi.xyz. This is the DevNet deployment, and eventually, once it's live on mainnet, this will point to the mainnet deployment, right? So this screen that you're looking at is this is one of my accounts on Sei V2, right? That I have already created a strategy with the Sei token and USDC, right? So typically on DevNet, you can
Wait, Glenn.
Sorry.
Let me back up a minute. Yeah. Don't be sorry. No, I'm gonna stop you, and you're gonna stop me, and we're just gonna go back and forth so that we can kind of just make it clear to everybody, right?
Sure.
Okay, so you're talking about creating a strategy. This is kind of something that was introduced with Carbon DeFi, right? Creating a strategy. So maybe we can back up a little bit and let them know what this actually means. Carbon DeFi is more of an order book like protocol, right? Than it is an AMM. You don't just go in and say, I'm going to trade this for this. When you are creating a strategy, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, so a strategy on Carbon DeFi, we have 4 different types, right? So if I were to like explain what they are, I can sort of just show you
This
here
is perfect.
what it looks like, right? So the first thing that you do on Carbon DeFi when you're creating a strategy is you have to select a token pair, right? So on the DevNet deployment of Sei, right, you have access to the Sei token, which you can get from a faucet, right? A faucet is a place for you to like request these Sei tokens that you can then use for testing. So you can get those for free, right? And obviously, they have this representation of USDC, but they have other tokens here as well, right? That you can choose. We'll use USDC because that's easy to do. But
And you can pair here, you might be a little bit limited, right? It looks like because it's the test net, but
correct.
with Carbon DeFi itself, and this was a question that just came in recently, so I want to put a little bit of emphasis on this. You aren't restricted to existing trading pairs. You're not restricted to any sort of a pool, nothing of that sort. There are no pools on Carbon DeFi. So you are able to create a strategy using any 2 of the standard ERC20 tokens, right?
Yeah, so you can
You
do.
pair any of them, one against whatever you want, as exotic as that trading pair might be. Something like that could thrive on Carbon DeFi. I just want to throw that out there, that you aren't restricted to anything of the sort that you may find yourself being on an AMM.
Correct. Any standard ERC20 tokens are fair game for creating a strategy on Carbon. Most people do go for like the popular trading pairs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those are the ones that you have to utilize for your trading strategy, right?
Yeah.
As long as those tokens have on-chain liquidity, right, then they can be used, right? The only caveat for Carbon DeFi is that it doesn't support tokens that have a fee on transfer, so tax tokens, and it doesn't support tokens that rebase, right? Typically, these tokens are not just problematic for Carbon, but in general, they're also problematic for other DEXs out there, right? Whenever these tokens are essentially, created, a lot of DEXs are not capable of handling them because they have these properties. It just makes it difficult to do proper, exchange with.
Right. Okay. So standard ERC20 tokens, anything other than kind of the fee on transfer and the rebase.
Right. So that's correct. And
Cool.
that's easily like the majority of the tokens that are out there, they are standard, right? So
Yeah. Okay. So then underneath that, we have the strategy types. So this allows the user, we're talking about what do we actually mean by a strategy type, right? We have the limit order. Maybe we can kind of give a little bit on each one and then kind of show what the actual strategy looks like upon creation.
Right. So you have, when you create a strategy here, you have like a strategy type selection. There's 4 different types of strategies. Limit order is what we're selecting now, right? And we can sort of go here, just show you what that looks like. Let's wait for this chart here to load. But
and a limit order on Carbon DeFi is pretty much how it would be on a centralized exchange, right?
correct. There should be no difference from a centralized exchange. If you use a limit order on Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, any other SEX out there, it operates in a similar fashion, right? And I say that because a lot of the times in DeFi, you hear this term limit orders, right? But the problem is that a lot of these limit orders, they are kind of not really what you are accustomed to on a SEX. And I'll explain why I say that. Because these limit orders, usually what ends up happening is you place them on a trading venue, so any DEX out there, and typically they're out of the money limit order, meaning that they're above or below, they're above or below the current market price. And if the external market price reaches that point of your limit order, your order gets filled. Now, what ends up happening is when your order gets filled, right? That's great. Now, if the price retraces, your order gets undone, right? So this behavior where your limit order is not final once it gets filled, it's not a limit order, right? And this is something that people that have been trading on sexes, it's something that they're not really accustomed to, right? Now, what you can do, a lot of DeFi protocols, what they do is they rely on other third-party infra, things like keepers, right? Such that they're monitoring
Hooks,
the order.
things like that.
Right. So keepers, oracles, things of this nature. And what they'll do is they'll monitor that order once it's filled, right? It will try to withdraw that liquidity so that if the price does retrace, your order does not get undone. But there's issues with that because typically these out of the money limit orders, when they get filled, there tends to be a lot of like market volatility that occurs at that point in time, right? So on the next block where it's supposed to like withdraw your liquidity, a lot of that time that block is highly competitive, right? Meaning that there's a lot of people trying to get orders or transactions into that block. So it might be that your keeper might not be able to pull you out before like the price changes again, right? So this is one of those issues with like limit orders on other protocols versus on Carbon. Our limit orders are final, right? Once it's filled, there is no undoing that limit order.
And they're native. They're
Right,
native. You're talking about the third-party dependencies. It's not just the fact that it introduces complications, in the next block. It's also the fact that there is no dependency on any third party. This was like by design. It was specifically designed to offer these sorts of features without having to rely on keepers or oracles or hooks or plugins or anything of that sort. So it's nice to not have that sort of what I consider to be an unnecessary risk, or cost.
It is a risk because you have other obviously a lot other smart contracts that you're relying upon, other infrastructure that you have a dependency on as well, right? And obviously I would say it's sort of like a clunky implementation, right? Versus a limit order on Carbon, which is native to the protocol, and they operate exactly as you would expect them to if you are coming from a centralized trading venue, right? So I can show you here. So this is the Sei USDC trading pair, right? You can easily say, I want to buy with maybe 100 USDC, right? At a price of, so right now it's at 0.54 cents. Maybe I want to acquire it at 40 cents. So roughly 26% below the market value, right? So if say it goes at 0.40 cents, I'm going to buy with 100 USDC, and I'm going to receive 250, say, if my order is filled in its entirety, right? So
up top, you're choosing to buy.
Yep.
It has the buy or the sell option. So when a user goes to a limit order, they can choose buy or sell, and they can choose, like we're working at limit right now, so we'll focus on the limit. They enter whatever price they want, right?
Yep.
And then they enter whatever budget they want. So if they're looking to, like right now you have sell Sei, before it was buy Sei. So it's however much USDC they want to allocate towards buying Sei, right? This is great because so many people, like how many times do you hear someone say, I missed that dip, or, I missed my notifications. I mean, everybody sends, like, you set notifications so you don't miss opportunities like this. If something were to happen in the market, all of a sudden that goes down and you're like, I was sleeping, this is a really nice option for, I have a goal in mind. I want to accumulate more at a specific price point. So I'm going to set my orders.
Yeah, so correct. So you can do a buy or a sell. This is now the sell toggle here. I toggle over to the sell side. And here I've done 100 Sei that I'm selling at a price of $1 or $1 or 1 USDC per se, right? And assuming this gets filled 100%, I'm going to receive 100 USDC, right? So the great thing about this, like you mentioned, is that a lot of the times when you are sort of buying or selling tokens, you already have like these price targets in mind, right? Like you might have bought something at like, I don't know, 50 cents, and you know that your 2x is at $1, and you already know that you want to sell at $2, or your 2x is at $1, you already know that you want to sell at $1. So you can just go ahead, create that limit order, leave it on chain, right? It gets posted on chain, and whenever the price gets there, your order gets filled, and at that point in time, you can come back to that order and then withdraw, right, the amount that you receive for selling those tokens. Right?
Yep.
This is the good thing about Carbon. You don't have to babysit anything. It's just there, and then once it's filled, and then you can go and withdraw those funds.
It's so nice. You know what you want to achieve. Fill in the blanks. Walk away.
Correct. So these are the limit orders on Carbon. So those should be pretty easy for most people to understand, since I'm sure that most I guess traders, liquidity providers, have sort of used them in the past at one point or another. The next order that I'm selecting here are what we call our range orders. Now, range orders, I would say they operate in a similar fashion to limit orders, right? With the difference here being that you're buying and selling between two price points or a range, right? So before, when we were buying, say we said we want to only buy at 0.40 cents, right? Now what we can say here, you know what? I want to start buying at 0.45 cents all the way down to 0.40 cents.
I love this feature. I got a smirk. I don't know if you could see me, Glenn, if you're looking at your own screen. I hope everybody else can see me, but as soon as we went to the range orders, I got this smirk on my face because I love the fact that users are able to, like, we're talking about timing the market and everything else. You have this goal in mind, right? But just because you have this goal doesn't mean that it's necessarily realistic, right? I want to buy at 40 cents, but if it goes to 41, I'm going to be so butthurt that I didn't go at 41, like I was 1 penny off. But to say, you know what, I want to buy at 40 cents. Is it going to go to 40? I don't know. I'm going to start buying at 45 cents and go buy all the way down to 40. I just think that's such a nice feature. Calling the top and calling the bottom is pretty much impossible,
Yeah,
so
it's impossible.
to be able to define, you know what, like the actual user, they're not restricted to, something like a pool, I only want to buy at this price down or up or whatever it happens to be. Like, I love this feature. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a good feature. Like you were saying, it's very hard for anyone to call the top or the bottom. Like the exact top or bottom is very difficult, right? So like range orders, they essentially give you like room for error, right? They give you some breathing room, so that either as the price goes on the downside, you're buying tokens, or as the price goes on the upside, you're selling tokens, right? And you're never going to be in a position where, like you said, the price went to 41 cents and you were buying at 40 cents. Now you didn't get filled. And the price turned around, and then that token did like a 3 or 4x, and obviously that is like a bad feeling. Same thing on the opposite side, right? If you're trying to sell something at like $1, for example, and the price only went up to like 99 cents, well, you never sold anything. Now you have round tripped, right? And you have missed selling anything for this cycle. You have to wait like another 2 or 3 years. Like that is like one of the worst feelings ever.
It's a nice way to secure your profits, right?
Yeah. Correct.
You want to make a little bit of profit. You want to, skim some off the top and not have to put it all, eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah, lets you easily scale in and scale out of your actual tokens, right? The nice thing here is you can see here, for example, like I'm putting up 100 USDC again. So when we were doing this with a limit order at 0.40 cents, right, we were going to get 250 SCI, right? Now with a range order, we get 235, right? So it's a little bit less, but that's because your average execution price here ends up being the
well, you start buying at 45. You start buying in a little bit higher, so it's going to be a little bit less.
You start buying at 0.45, and as the market sort of goes down in terms, or let's say the price of Sei goes down into this range, right? You buy a little bit more. And then obviously, like if it goes below 40 cents, then your entire budget of 100 USDC gets exhausted at that point in time. But yeah, you start buying at 0.45 cents slowly until 0.40 cents. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
yeah, just to demonstrate, you can also do this in the opposite direction. So you can sell, right? We were selling at $1 before. You can now sell between 0.90 and $1, right? And we'll sell 100 SEI. So we'll get roughly 94.86 USDC, assuming this order fills 100% of the way there, right? You have this flexibility to sell Sei tokens as the price slowly goes up, essentially up as it goes up. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
What about something that I want to point out really quickly. We didn't mention it for the limit orders, but this is really important for all of the orders on Carbon DeFi. So you get asked about gas. Everybody wants to know, I mean, what is it going to cost me, right? Especially when you're talking about how you are able to like sell or buy within a range, right? Like how much is that going to cost a user? So I want to just kind of break. Carbon DeFi doesn't charge its users any sort of protocol fees. When you're in here and you're making a strategy, which is what you're doing right now, it's a network gas fee to create your strategy. We'll get to the adjusting later, right? If you want to edit something at all, there's a network gas fee. But there are no fees, gas fees, or trading fees anytime orders are filled. So you're paying that one-time fee to create the strategy, make your tokens available for the buying or the selling, and then someone on the other end, right, is going to be paying that fee. So the price that you're quoting, what the users are saying, I only want to sell this at $1, you're getting $1 or, 100, USDC or 1 USDC, whatever it happens to be. The amount that you're specifying is the amount that you're receiving. It's not coming out of that. You're not paying any sort of gas fees. I just wanted to make that clear really quickly, and we'll kind of touch on it a little bit again with the next order type, the recurring.
Correct. That is a good
That's
reminder.
an important one.
It's important. The only fees that you pay on Carbon is to create the strategy, right? And then there is no other fees that the protocol charges you to create that strategy, right? And obviously, like once that strategy is created, you don't have to have any sort of like gas to cover any trades that occur against that strategy. That is covered by the taker on the other side, right? Because these orders get posted on chain for anyone to take. The person that's taking that order, they need to essentially cover the gas costs to take it. So here, what we have is the recurring strategy. This is what I would say the most popular type of strategy on Carbon, because it gives you this ability of buying low, selling high on repeat, right? So what does that mean, right? So you can see under this strategy, we have two orders, right? One order is for selling, and then you have one order for buying, right? Each order, you can have a limit, range, or you can do a combination of limit and range. So we'll just do a combination of limit and range here so that you guys can see this thing in action, and I can show you what it looks like. So right now price is at 0.54. Let's say we're gonna buy between 0.40 and 0.45, and we're gonna contribute 100 USDC. So this is our buy order. For our sell order, we're actually not gonna fund this order with any SEI, right? But we are gonna...
Okay, so let's stop there for a second, if you don't mind. So it sounds kind of funny when you introduce this, strategy type or this order type to anybody who's unfamiliar, because they're like, yeah, thanks. Like, obviously I want to buy low and I want to sell high, right? But this is something that is completely automated. So you go in and you're like, you know what? I want to buy some more SEI SEI when it goes from 45 down to 40. And I already know I want to double my money. So I know I'm going to want to sell at $1 or 90 cents up to $1, whatever it happens to be, So you set these orders. Now, Glenn was just saying that he's not going to fund his sell order. So what he's saying, like, first, you have the ability to create an order with funds you don't yet have, which I think is a really, really, it's not just a cool feature, right? But it's really beneficial for anybody who has this sort of strategy in mind, who knows I'm buying here, I'm selling here, right? They don't have to worry about that anymore. But
Correct.
right. So sorry, I wanted to just kind of touch on that really quickly, that you don't have to have that. But what he's essentially saying here is, I think that the Sei token is going to go down from 45 to 40 before it goes up. So I'm going to fund this with my USDC. I have 100 USDC I'm going to buy Sei with. And then, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, so yeah, that's correct. So the way this is set up right now is we're expecting the market to go down first and have our buy order be filled so that we convert USDC, 100 USDC to SEI, and we acquire 235.70 SEI when this order is filled 100%. Right now, what ends up happening here is that SEI that we acquired is going to move automatically to your sell order. Right. And at that point in time, it's going to be made available to sell at $1, right, or 1 USDC. Right.
Right.
So assuming that happens, we can sort of like put this number in here just so that you get an idea of what this looks like. Right.
And it doesn't have to fill completely. Right, Glenn? So there are partial fills as well. So if it only goes down to, say, 43 cents, the SEI or the Sei that you're acquiring is automatically going to go and fund that sell order. So it's not all or none, it's partial as well.
Yeah, so any tokens that any SEI tokens that you acquired as part of this order will be made available in the sell order, right? Even if the orders does not get filled 100% of the way there, right? Whatever amount it got filled and whatever Sei tokens you acquired will move up here for selling, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not all or nothing, right? Essentially, any liquidity that you acquired from that order getting filled, either 100% or partially, will move over to the next order, right?
And again, that's with no keepers or hooks or anything like that. This is all, like, everything that we're talking about right now is all native to the protocol. So there are no third-party dependencies or risks at all in any of these features that we're referring to, or in Carbon DeFi at all.
Right. These are these orders. There is no dependency on any third-party infra. Internally, like these orders, you can consider them as being linked together, such that liquidity just rotates from one order to the next as they're filled. Right. So,
and this is what they're actually referred to. So if anybody is looking and reading the blogs or anything like that, this sort of recurring strategy that we're speaking about, you'll see the terms linked orders and rotating liquidity. That's specific to the recurring strategy.
Right. Yeah, so we funded the buy order because we thought that the market was gonna go down first, but we could have also done the opposite, right? Like we could have not funded the buy order. We could have funded the sell order with 100 Sei, right? And then obviously the market goes to $1. We sell the 100 Sei. We acquire 100 USDC. Now that USDC is made available for buying at a lower price point that you have selected here. So it's however you choose to fund your orders. It's essentially the view of the market that you have. Now, you can also say, I don't know what the market is going to do, right? If it's going to go up or down, I have no clue. So I'm just going to fund both of my orders, right? So that is a perfectly normal strategy where you're funding a buy order and a sell order at the same time. If one of these gets filled first, then that liquidity that you acquired is immediately made available in the other order and vice versa, right? So this liquidity just rotates from one order to the next. Hopefully the more times this happens, the better it is for you, because essentially what you're doing here is you're capturing the spread that exists between these two price points. You're capturing the spread that exists between these two price points, and that becomes your profit, right? This is that behavior of buying low, selling high. If you do this multiple times over a certain time period, this is how you make your money from trading, right?
And it's not you doing anything. What you're doing is creating this strategy, and this is all automated. So once the strategy is created, as long as that token, there's that sort of volatility profile and it continues ranging within those price points that you had created or you had determined for your strategy, this will automatically continue to execute. So this buy low, sell high that Glenn was saying is on repeat. It's automated and it's going to continuously repeating. And like we had said earlier, all of these orders being filled and the rotating of the liquidity, this is at no cost to the strategy maker. So you pay that one-time network gas fee to create your strategy. And then all of the rest of this is automated at no additional cost.
Right. It's automated at no additional cost to the maker here. So no matter how many trades happens within this strategy, right? You're not covering that gas cost for those trades to occur. Someone else is actually paying that on the other side to take those tokens.
Right.
So these are the what we call the recurring strategies on Carbon, which gives you that buy low, sell high functionality on repeat. Cool. And then lastly, we have this concept of what we called overlapping liquidity, right? And overlapping liquidity is essentially like it's a concentrated liquidity position.
It's concentrated liquidity, but fancy.
Yeah, it's concentrated liquidity with some extra, with some improvements, I would say, or more flexibility than what people are normally used to in other like concentrated liquidity protocols, right? So obviously, you select your range here. We'll just do 0.50 to 0.60 here, right? So this is the range that we have selected for this concentrated liquidity position, right? You indicate your spread. This is also known as like the quote unquote fee tier, another protocol, right? Well, we have a few options here, but you can select your spread to be whatever you want it to be, 1%, 2%, 3%. And you can see here that as I'm moving the spread, there is like a gap that is sort of starting to appear on each edge here, right? So that gap, see how it's like starting to appear there, right? And essentially what this means is that, okay, as you are, as the price of SEI is going up, right? You're selling SEI for USDC, right? And it's the opposite direction, right? If the price of SEI goes down, then you're buying SEI with USDC, right? So at some point in time, when you get to like some of these like boundaries, right? What you're telling the market here is that, okay, I am gonna sell all the way up to 0.60, but right, if you wanna essentially sell that token back to me, right? I am not gonna buy it back from you at 0.60. I'm gonna buy it back for you at a lower price point, right? This is that spread or fee tier, right? So that gap is essentially how you are going to be making your gains here as a liquidity provider, a market maker, a trader, whatever you want to call yourself, right? That spread is what you're capturing as your profits, right? And obviously, the higher the spread, the more profits you can capture. But you have to keep in mind that this has to be like in range or else it's never going to trade, right? So that's something that you always have to be cognizant of, right? Making sure that you're in range so that you're capturing that market movement within this strategy, right? So we selected our min and max price, right? We selected our spread, right? And then here we can select the budget, right? And it's going to tell us how much we're going to need based on how much tokens we're going to input. So if we put in 100, say, it's going to tell us that we also need to put in 47.81 USDC, right? If we put in 200, say, we're going to need 95, right? And that's determined based on the range that you're choosing, the spread, and I guess the current market price, right? So this is the overlapping strategy on Carbon, which you can consider a concentrated liquidity position on other dexes with the flexibility of having your own spread or fee tier defined. We don't limit you on the min and max sell price. These are not ticks that you're bound to right? Or buckets, right? Literally, this can be any min price, max price. The only limitation here is like the resolution of the blockchain itself. And three, what you do not see here is as this thing is trading back and forth and you're earning that spread or that fee tier, right? That money that you're getting here is essentially recompounded back into your strategy, right?
Okay, that's what I wanted to touch on. Right. So for anybody who is, might have been familiar or might be familiar with a concentrated liquidity position, right?
Yep.
The money that you're making, that fee that you're earning, or that profit, whatever you want it, the spread, whatever you want to consider it, that is not on traditional concentrated liquidity models being automatically added back in. So there is no auto compounding. That would have to be a manual transaction, right? So you're going to be paying for the gas. It's something that you would have to take your time to go and do, is continue to add this back on, right? Or if somebody were to offer this feature, this is going to introduce that third-party dependency again, right? So with Carbon DeFi, whatever profit, whatever spread you're making, the fee, that's automatically added back in. So you have that auto compounding kind of built in to this feature or this, order type as well.
Right. That's a good point. There is no extra or your fees or your gains, they do not go in a separate location, and then you have to go there and collect that, and then I guess auto compound that back into your strategy, right?
Well, you got to wait until it's worth it. Okay, gas is going to cost me this much. It's not like you could do it every time there's a trade that occurs, right? So with this, it's like it's not just gas efficient and time efficient, but it's actually more capital efficient as well, because it's automatically being added back in. You don't have to wait until you have the right opportunity or it makes sense to do so. So I wanted to just kind of touch on that a little bit. I also really kind of wanted to touch on a lot of traditional concentrated liquidity models. You're restricted to the types of pairs that you're able to provide liquidity for, or if you create a liquidity pool, it's kind of dependent on a few different things. With Carbon DeFi, this isn't necessarily the case because there are no pools, and because of the way that the orders are filled, but the way that your strategy is traded against. I thought maybe if you wouldn't mind, we can touch on the fact that Carbon DeFi pulls network-wide liquidity to trade against your strategy.
Right. So yeah, that's correct. You're not restricted to having an existing trading pair exist on chain for your strategy, right? So you can literally create a
the most off the wall trading strategy with two random tokens that you would never think to pair, but you can, right?
Yeah, any two random tokens you can create a strategy around, as long as they have some on-chain liquidity, right? So typically, I'm going to say like on SCI, there's going to be a lot of tokens that are going to have a pairing with the Sei token, right? Which is the native token of the blockchain, right? And you will not see too many tokens paired against each other outside of that, unless it's like a stable coin or maybe something popular like BTC or ETH, right? So for example, I know Sei has certain tokens that are of like the meme category. They have like Saiyan is one of those, right? You might want to trade Saiyan against another token that exists on Sei for a project or protocol, right?
Right.
That might be whatever lending and borrowing protocol, the other DEX, right? As long as Saiyan has liquidity on chain, that might be Saiyan against Sei, and that other token has liquidity against Sei on chain as well, then that order or that strategy will have its orders filled, because Carbon will just source that liquidity from all those trading venues using something which we call the fast lane, and which we'll go into more detail a little bit towards the end of this presentation.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
So for anybody wondering, can I sum this up really quickly?
For sure.
If you look and you're like, okay, cool, Carbon DeFi, it's not an AMM. It's more of an order book like protocol. It allows you to buy or sell any token paired with any other token, standard ERC20 token. at a specific price, or within whatever price range you decide to as a user, right? Then it has the recurring orders because that's your limit and your range. Then it has the recurring orders where it's that automated 24/7 buy low, sell high, continue to buy low and sell high for as long as, you know, that there's that sort of volatility or that sort of crabbing, right? And then there is the overlapping, which is the concentrated liquidity position, but with more control, more options, more features built in, and for the users, for the maker.
Right. I think that sums it up pretty well. Now that, for example, I have created a strategy here, which you are looking at right now. When you create a strategy on Carbon, it goes into your My Strategies section. So this one is obviously Sei USDC. You can see that my budget for this strategy looks like it's 94 cents, right? And that is 94 USDC. That is ready to buy between 0.30 and 0.45. And then I'm going to be selling between 0.90 and $1, right? So this sort of gives you an overview of the strategies that you've created. It tells you how many tokens you have on the buy order or the sell order or both, right? And the cool thing here is that once that strategy is created, Carbon DeFi gives you an NFT, and this NFT represents your strategy, which you can use to, for example, either edit the prices, right? You might say, maybe I'm willing to buy between 0.20.
So this is something we hadn't spoken about, right? So not only does Carbon DeFi give its users the ability to determine exactly when they want to buy or sell, and what prices they'll receive for that, but it also gives them the ability to go in and say, I'm not really happy with the strategy that I just created. I want to change my prices. I don't want to have to, withdraw my liquidity or my funds, right? Recreate and redeposit my position or my liquidity all over again, recreate this position. What Carbon DeFi allows users to do is go in and very simply say, I want to adjust my prices. I want to edit my prices. This is what Glenn is showing us now. And something I wanted to add, Glenn, really quickly that we didn't touch on before. I mentioned the gas prices. We were talking about how as a maker, you're only paying when you create a strategy, the network gas fee when you create a strategy, and if you want to go in and edit your prices or manage your strategy, which is what we're showing now. But we're talking about these automated features and how the funds and the liquidity are automatically rotated back and forth, and these orders are linked together. And to some, and I had somebody say that sounds expensive, right? It's nice that you don't pay when all of your orders are filled, but to create it, how does that compare? So the devs did research, and recent tests have shown that it is much more gas efficient to create a strategy on Carbon DeFi than it is comparable DEXs. These tests were obviously done on Ethereum, but to create an overlapping liquidity strategy on Carbon DeFi as opposed to a traditional concentrated liquidity on an AMM, it is much more gas efficient, 10 to 80% or 2 times more gas efficient, depending, right? But to do this in general is going to cost you less than your traditional AMM. I wanted to throw that out there. Sorry.
Yeah, the gas costs on Carbon are very, they have been optimized. And also, like, it's just the architecture of the protocol lends itself to just being cheap to create these strategies in terms of like how many slots in memory define like a Carbon strategy, right? Things like this essentially make it so that as you're interacting with the protocol, it's going to be very cheap. Now on SCI V2, the gas cost should be pennies on the dollar, if not sub pennies, right? The blockchain, it's going to be very cost efficient to use from a gas perspective. So I don't expect things to be, more than like a few pennies to do any sort of operations there, right?
Right.
So now going back to what I was showing you here, Once that strategy is created, you can actually edit the prices. You can go here. If you change your mind about the price points where you're buying and selling, you can easily do that without having to recreate your entire strategy from the beginning, meaning that you have to withdraw your funding, delete that strategy, recreate that strategy, add the funding, etc. That is not something that you have to do. You can just edit that strategy easily on Carbon. And it's the same thing for other types of operations. You can also add funding or remove funding, right? So adding and removing funding, easy to do. You can pause that strategy if you're not sure about the trading, the current trading
I always
momentum.
say that's like kind of the freak out moment. Like the market just did something I wasn't expecting. What do I want to do? I'm not quite sure. I want to take my tokens and I don't want to make them available to trade against, right?
Yeah, it gives you you can pause that strategy until you're sure about what exactly you want to do, right? And at that point in time, your strategy is no longer trading. And then obviously, once you're comfortable again, you can re-enable it and then have that strategy be available for trading. This is like this is what covers the operations that you can do on the strategy. You also have a historical. This button here essentially will bring up the history of that strategy. So when you click on the strategy history, it will tell you the history here. So the activity, this activity section here tells you, okay, the first thing that was done was this strategy was created with one say. It tells you the date, and then it also tells you the transaction hash. Here, you can click on this. It will bring you to the Explorer, and then you can look at the actual transaction metadata, etc. And then up here, you can see that we have had some trading activity on this strategy already, right? So, for example, on May 20th, it looks like we sold some Sei for USDC, right? And then it tells you what the average price was for that sale, right? It looks like some more Sei was sold for USDC, and then it tells you at what price point that happened, right? But in general, this section gives you the historical for that strategy. And then obviously you can also export that to a CSV file and utilize that for whatever tracking you're doing on your side, right? Or if you just want to keep this for historical purposes, you can do that as well. And then there's some filters here. In this case, for selecting the dates, if, for example, this strategy has seen a lot of trades and you only want to filter for a certain time period. And you can also filter on actions. Right now, we only have two actions, create and sell high, but this strategy will also have other actions as trades occurred against it, and then those actions will show up here. So that is essentially the My Strategies section. You have this portfolio here, which is nice. This is assuming you have more than one strategy created, right? You have multiple tokens, and it shows you the composition of your entire account and all of the strategies on Carbon DeFi, right? How many tokens you have of each one. You can also do the same thing for activity, account wide, right? So instead of focusing on a specific activity for strategy, you can do it for your entire account, and then all of your strategies will have their activity in here just put together, essentially.
Glenn, one thing I don't know if we want to continue on after this or if we want to maybe do a second part with the simulator to kind of show a little bit of that also. We're at 50 minutes already.
For sure.
But something I wanted to kind of talk about also was when I think it was the last call with Crypto Hunter, actually, we were asked if we have copy trading. And I was talking about the duplicate a strategy feature.
Right. So because we have you have the strategy here. This is the strategy that you have created, but we also have a section where you can essentially explore every token pair has a strategy on Carbon, and you can do that here, or you can also look at someone's wallet and look at all the strategies they've created. So if we look at USDC and Sei, you will see here there's a bunch of different strategies that have been created, right? One of these is mine, but the rest are not mine, right? There might be a strategy here that has like a good ROI. These strategies that we're showing you right now, these are on mainnet, or I shouldn't say mainnet, these are on devnet or testnet, so they don't have much activity. But on mainnet, a lot of these strategies will be trading back and forth, and you might find one that will have essentially good price points that they're buying and selling at, and you might want to do something similar, right? When that happens, you can essentially go here and duplicate that strategy, and then copy it as is. If you select that option, it will essentially bring you to the create strategy option for what you just selected, right? And then you can input your budget for your strategy, right? And obviously the min and max price points for the sell order, these are pre-filled for you based on the one that you're trying to copy. And similarly, on the buy order, the min and max amounts are also pre-filled from the strategy that you selected as the one that you wanted to copy, right?
Now, the thing with this though too, and this was something, with Carbon DeFi, because you can so easily go in and adjust your prices or adjust your, your strategy. Copying somebody doesn't, you can duplicate this strategy like it's being shown right here, but to copy them, as soon as they change their prices or something of the sort, yours is going to stay the same. So this is why it's not exactly copying someone's trades. This is more of a duplicate the strategy, and you can kind of watch and see if they do. But just because they change their prices, there's no way for this to just automatically happen on your strategy. Like, this is where the copy trading versus duplicating a strategy, the difference really comes in. You're the only one who's able to determine what prices you're going to be trading your tokens at.
Yeah, that's correct. Once you duplicate that strategy, right? If the original strategy changes its prices that they're buying and selling at, that will not carry over to yours, right?
Which is a nice feature.
Right.
If you're looking at the copy trade, okay, maybe not so much, but security wise, like, you are the only one who is making any sorts of changes or, saying, like I said, when you want to buy or sell your tokens. This is only up to the owner of that strategy.
Correct. You're not, someone else can never change prices of your strategy, right? You're the
Right.
only one that can change those prices, unless for whatever reason your wallet was compromised.
Oh, Glenn, don't go there.
Yeah, in which point you have bigger problems. But
right.
yeah, that is essentially Carbon in a nutshell. Covers a lot of the things. We are hitting the 1 hour mark. Perhaps we do the simulator separately. But I just want to say that Carbon was designed to be very prescriptive in nature, right? Meaning that the protocol does not tell you how to trade, but rather you tell the protocol how you want to trade, right?
Yeah.
And the protocol will do exactly what you're telling it to do, right? If you want to buy and sell at certain price points, it will do that, right? If you want to sell at a specific price, it will do that. If you want to create a overlapping liquidity position or a concentrated liquidity position within certain price ranges, certain fee tiers or spread, right? You do that, you tell it, and then it will respect your trading preferences. So it's very flexible, and it's all on chain, right? All these orders are on chain, right? There is no off-chain order book, right? Everything gets posted on chain. You can see everything that's happening, who's trading against you. It's all transparent. It's all out there.
Glenn, I'm going to go there. I know I shouldn't, but you know how we're always like announcement of the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about editing prices just for everybody who's watching the call. This wasn't a feature that was supported for overlapping strategies, like overlapping liquidity, but this is something that is going to be made available and changed, like on the app, like made available to users, right? Right now you can go in and edit your prices and things on for limit, range, and recurring, not for overlapping. This is changing in the very, very near future. So if anyone
Right.
is going and looking at this, I don't want them to think that this isn't available to us forever, right? It may very well only be for the next day or so.
For sure.
But after that point, sometime in the next 24 hours, I'm thinking this is actually going to be a feature made available for overlapping strategies as well.
Absolutely. We're constantly improving the product. The overlapping strategies, they actually existed since day one. When Carbon launched, we did not have them on the UI because we did not have the actual flow created yet, right? We were trying to get this thing out to market as soon as possible. And when we launched, it was very bare bones, right? You didn't have a portfolio. You didn't have historical activities. You didn't have.
We didn't have the simulator.
You didn't have the simulator. You didn't have edit functionality. A lot of the stuff wasn't there, right? Even though it existed at the smart contract level, getting the UI to essentially support all these things so that users can do this easily, right? That takes time. So, like Jen said, editing prices on overlapping strategies, that is coming. And at that point in time, you can do it from this window or this screen that you're looking at right now. You'll be able to just go ahead and edit the prices on an overlapping strategy, right?
Something that I was saying, Glenn, on one of the other calls also is like I'm excited to have this be a Bancor like native deployment on Sei, because kind of this goes with what you're saying right now, is that as features, I mean, there are so many different features that are being worked on and being added. And, you named a few of them, the simulator being one of them. Although Bancor licenses the right to deploy these smart contracts, and you'll see that there are licensed deployments on other chains or other networks. These features are made available to the licensees. Whether or not they want to add these or when they add them, if they choose to, is really up to them. But I like to think that because this is a Bancor deployment itself on Sei, that the Bancor native deployments will be the first to see these new features being added. So the Ethereum community, the Sei community, they'll be the first ones who have access to each of these new features as they're being rolled out and introduced.
Yeah, that's a good point. The DAO, the Bancor DAO voted to have Carbon DeFi deployed on SEI V2. So this is essentially a deployment of Bancor, right?
Yeah.
That's going to live on, say, V2. And the only other deployment outside of that is on Ethereum. So this is quite exciting, I would say, for us in general, because we've always been pretty much native to Ethereum throughout the entire lifetime of the actual protocol or project, right? So we're sort of starting to go to other places, which we are, excited about because of the value proposition that they provide. And we do think that Sei V2, it's going to be one of those chains that it's going to deliver on what it's essentially,
and has that sort of longevity.
Right.
Yeah. I want to thank BlueHawk80 really fast. I know I see you in your comments. I know you've been following Carbon DeFi. I wanted to say thank you for not only following along and tuning into this one, but to previous videos and things that we've put out as well, the live streams, for asking your questions and adding your comments. I'm so glad that you find Carbon DeFi to be a legit project. Any questions, please continue to reach out to us. And thank you, Crypto Hunter. Hold on one second, Glenn. I'm going to share this one as well.
Cool.
This is very lovely. We think you're lovely. Thank you for being such a great host to us, and for encouraging us to do this. Definitely want to say thank you for that as well. I see Paper Street. I don't even know if he's going to be embarrassed, but can we talk about how handsome he is? Will is one of our big supporters and has been from, I say us, like just the Bancor DAO in general, big part of the Bancor DAO. Very handsome man. Cool. Well, Glenn, thanks
I
for jumping up here.
I want to
What's
say that he is very handsome. I've actually
He is
met
handsome.
him IRL, and if I was of the opposite sex, I would totally.
Oh, you would. Okay.
Yes.
Well, there you have it, Will, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, what I was going to
anyways,
say, I was going to say something real quick, Jen. We are on Telegram. We do have a Carbon DeFi channel. If you have any questions, please join us there. Feel free to ask us directly via DMs. We are on Twitter. I know I keep my DMs open. Jen keeps her DMs open. I think most of us contributors, we're easily accessible on Telegram, on Twitter, on Discord. I'm on Discord as well. We have a Discord there. I'm always there. But yeah, you can easily reach out to us if you have any questions about Carbon. Yeah, join our Telegram, our Discord, and just come there and if you have any questions about the protocol or around strategies, I'm more than happy to talk about that.
Yeah. And I did share the link for the Telegram, or at least like the handle. It's Carbon DeFi XYZ. I always recommend going to the official Twitter accounts to get those links for the Discord and for the Telegram. You can find them there very easily. But yeah, like Glenn said, I mean, both of us are always available to answer any questions. Glenn, I'm going to get with you offline and see maybe when we could do another one of these with the simulator.
Yeah, that sounds
Thursday, maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah,
I will put out an announcement, but I mean, I'm available tomorrow at the same time if you are. So
yeah, it sounds good to me. We can certainly do another one for the simulator, which is
awesome.
Another useful tool for these like strategy creations on Carbon.
Yeah. And I recommend going to the website too, you guys, for anybody who wants some more information. It's carbondefi.xyz. And you can kind of read through some of the information that we have there. You can check out the app yourself, like the live deployment on Ethereum with the simulator in the meantime. And there are blogs there as well. So cool. Glenn, thank you so much for joining me up here. To all of the viewers, we've got almost 500 people who have tuned in to watch us live, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much. I did say that we were going to do a giveaway, Glenn, and I am thinking maybe I'll take this offline with you, but we'll announce that.
Cool. Amazing. Yeah, that's great. Whoever wins, it's good swag. I like it.
I love our swag. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you again to all of the viewers. Tomorrow, same time, we'll put out an announcement.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Cool. Thanks, guys. We'll see ya.